This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, but rocking a beautiful Toronto background behind me because, well, I consider Toronto my true home. But folks, here we are on May the 25th, 2024, and I have a return guest, and well, knock on wood, he may be joined by two other guests as well. But I've had this fellow on before. Yes, folks, I'm talking about independent filmmaker Scott Hand. How do you do, Scott?
Doing good, Greg. It's been a couple of years. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. It's been a rough
Good.
couple years for me. Lost a job due to gaslighting, and then I'm working at another one right now as we speak, and haven't been able to move to Toronto like I've been wanting to because, well, currently we have a situation where there's people in power that want to make us as poor as possible. And and then with I had a root canal, I had a retina
I did too.
operation,
I had a root.
and yeah, retina operation, and then a cataract operation. I'm like, so I'm healing from that. I'm like, I had a friend of mine, somebody who's been a guest on the show, who said that he's turning 50 this year. He's looking forward to celebrating. And I'm like, yeah, wait till you turn 51, which I am. I'll be 52 in July. He
I'm
said,
already
yeah,
there.
wait till then, and you start falling apart.
Yeah.
But
Warned us.
nonetheless, I'm still here right now.
Yep. Same here.
Yeah, there
Hell
you
of a journey.
go.
Isn't it? Hell of a journey in 52 years.
Yeah, yeah. But nonetheless, I have had you on before, and I'm
Yeah.
more than happy to have you on again. And
Glad to be here.
yep, and we may be joined by a couple of your fellow actors. We shall see. Uh,
They're always late, just so that you know. They're
Kevin
always
and
late.
Lisa Selly.
Shelly. Yes,
Shelley.
Shelly.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah, Kevin's always late, so I'm not surprised. So just
okay.
because
No,
you're
you
here
know
doesn't
what?
mean you'll be
That's
here in 20
okay.
minutes.
Well, yeah, if I pop up here, we'll let them in.
Mhm.
But nonetheless, I know you've got some projects coming up, and we've talked about, of course, the uh, Black Tent, and I'm going
Still,
to,
still working, but yeah.
yeah, and I'm going to screw up the name of this movie, Lycaon.
Lycaon. Yeah, everybody seems to have a problem with that name. I don't know why. It's pretty simple. I mean, it's the Greek god, you know.
You know
I
what? It's not, to me, the title is, it's nothing wrong with the title. It's just I've never heard of that name before. It's just like any other, like I've had people come on here, and I'd have to ask them, how do you pronounce your last name, because I've never heard of it. It could be just perfectly normal in their neck of the woods. So, I mean, so don't change the title on my account. It's just me. So there you go. How are things going with that film? Because I had, I think it was Tommy Graff on here recently talking about it. So,
Well, the movie's completed. I mean, we
mhm.
have the movie finished. It's just we're seeking distribution. We have interest from two parties. They're both kind of, the deals are sort of like this. So we're gonna either go into negotiations with the two of them and see who comes up with a better deal, or we're already kind of are looking to do the film festival run with it. We've been told by some people in the industry that go that route, generate some buzz and you usually get picked up. So I mean, it's micro budget film. We didn't have millions of dollars. We didn't have a big cast in there. So but was able to find some halfway decent actors, and Greg, you might have to pause this for one moment because do you hear the cat crying?
Oh, don't worry, I've got a cat too, so I get it.
All right, so this cat is really being, like I said, I hate to be interrupted in an
Oh
interview.
no, no, you go right ahead. You go
Any,
right ahead.
anyway, so um, but so what's going on is with Lycaon, all right, we're either going to talk to these guys about it or go the film festival route. And as far as the short film goes, Five Losers on a Line is testing really well. The younger people really like it. Older people above 55, like 60, are, they're sort of like, in the middle with it. Some people find some parts funny, other they find other parts not. But it's comedy. Comedy's tough these days, as you know. That's why I figured I had an idea for one. I figured I'll do it as a short film. I'll see how that goes. And then if the short film works and people like enough, we'll make a feature film out of it. But as it stands right now, it's a 33-minute short. It's pretty funny. I've had a couple of premieres for it here, one on a couple of one work print, and the final cut. The cast loves it. Everybody really has approved it. I signed off on it a while ago. Two versions. I got a director's cut, which is like 36 and a half minutes, but we had to cut some things out because there's some talk about brands and things like that, which, you're not supposed to do that because of brand integration. Brand integration
Wow.
is when the brand pays to be in your movie. So you can't just go out there and you're not supposed to, you can do whatever you want, but you're not supposed to give the free advertising because it hurts the many productions. And I do mean many that get brand integration because they don't just pay a couple of bucks. We're talking, that could be anywhere from 20,000 to $10 million. You know, so I mean, it can really help your movie. I think the $10 million that were for the major Hollywood films that cost like 200, 300 million. I don't think independent movies are going to get that kind of money. I think you're lucky if you get one deal with like 100,000. You know what I
So
mean?
I'm turning 52 in July. So
I'm
am I
there.
going to
That's
enjoy this or not?
Yeah. Well, what do you
Uh,
call it? I'm there already. I passed it 2 months ago, so I'm on it.
Because you
So,
you said something like 55, and I'm like, oh gee, I'm skirting close.
it's less than 3 years for me. It's three for you. So
You
yeah,
know
it
what?
goes
It's
goes fast, man. Goes fast. They warned
oh
us.
yeah.
They warned me.
Well, comedy is hard to do because especially with the way society is today.
They're
Like I had
overly
this,
sensitive, and they just don't like most of it. So
well, not only that, it's all this woke crap people are pushing on everybody, and it's like and I find it funny because I don't think every film out there is woke, quote unquote,
yeah, no,
I
me
don't
either.
think, yeah, there are natural female-led films
Yeah,
that feel organic and really good, like we got Furiosa out there right now. I enjoyed Fury Road very much. I don't think it detracted from the Mel Gibson Mad Max films at all, Um, Speaking of Fury Road, Charlize Theron was in Atomic Blonde, another female-led film. Enjoyed it very much, Um, I and then there's this whole thing of race. And I think people should be cast based on their talent,
yes,
you know.
yes.
I often said Jordan Peele did a film called Us, and one of the things I enjoyed about it is that despite the fact that you had a black family in it, that really, I mean, you notice it, but at the same token, I'm getting so involved with it. I mean, it could have been a white family and it wouldn't have made any difference.
No,
He just chose to have a black family and it worked organically, He wanted to tell this story, he wanted this race. But thing is, he's not shoving the racial thing in your face. I actually really enjoyed that movie. But now it's like they got to push this or push that. And when I see that overdone, it makes me just want to shut the movie off and walk out. So that's what a lot of what we're dealing with today. So
I think that's why the box office is down so much either, because I think I saw something this morning that they're saying it's even with this movie, this Furiosa you're talking about, it's looking like the lowest box office in like 41 years for Memorial Day weekend.
yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm gonna go see Furiosa. I mean, it looks really good to me. I enjoyed Fury Road a lot. So, and I really like it. Well, Chris Hemsworth looks like he's hamming up, having fun with it. But I gotta admit, female led or not, Anna Taylor-Joy is really easy on the eyes. So, hey,
Sure.
I'm game.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So I'm game. Loved her in Last Night in Soho. So I mean, and other things, Split. So I'm game. You know. So anyway, no, but I hate it when it's being made a big deal out of. So,
Mhm.
but nonetheless, if that has that been something that you've been countered with or roadblocked with working on your scripts?
Not roadblocked. I mean, I most of the time I write on spec. So, when you write on spec, you're just, I try to tell everybody you're working for yourself. I have my own process that I do it where I have images and ideas dancing in my head. And sometimes it just gets to a point I'm like, you know what? I want to write this, so I'll sit down with a notebook. I keep them around. I've got plenty of them, too many of them, and I'll write my some ideas or scenes or whatever, and then I'll think about it for a little bit. Sometimes it's only a day, sometimes it's a few days, sometimes it's weeks, sometimes it just happens, and I'm like, I already got the story, so one, two, three, I write the story down, and it ends up being about a page and a half, two, maybe 3 pages, and so I got it. I have the bones, the structure, that's the treatment. So then it's just a matter of breakdown of I do classic act one, act two, act three, and I do that, and then I just sit down and write, and I just write, and then I don't really I didn't used to, like, when I would write before, I would just write from my mind. So I probably didn't write with that. Now it's different. Now that I've made some movies, it's like kind of when I write, sometimes I'm thinking of people, or that, but that's something that, with the Black Tent, it's like this has been going on for so long, and the thing is, I want to do it. The reason why it's taking so long is, like, my director of photography that's going to be for this film, John McClung, has said, Scott, we're not, the reason being is you're not just making a movie, you're making a movie with a look. That's because I remember I'm going for the Tim Burton visual. So because I'm doing that, the game has stepped up 5 times. So it's 5 times what I'm used to on a budget. So where I can, wrangle up, some money and, shoot a picture, and that's not going to work this time. It's going to have to be a significant amount of money. And an old friend of mine who is our age, who is already retired and made it in life, came along and said, what kind of investment are you looking for? So I went over everything with him. I sent him the script, and we grew up together. I've known him since we were children. And I knew with him coming in, his name's Craig. I knew it wouldn't be reading the script and saying, "Oh, this is phenomenal, I'm in." It was going to be, I love the idea, but I have some ideas too, that if you're willing to listen to me and talk to me, and this is what I'm thinking, and tell me if it works for you. I'm not trying to tell you that your child is ugly. I'm just trying to tell you there's a much better way of making this child look more beautiful. And I knew all that going in. I knew that before I called him. I knew what was going to happen. I grew up with this guy. So I wasn't surprised by any. And I said, Craig, I already knew all this. Sure, I'm willing to listen. Let's talk about it. We talked about it, and I agreed. And I told him I still had some stuff I wanted to get in there. I had ideas for another subplot. He listened. He said, "Yep, I think it's a good idea. Let's do it." So this latest draft of the script that we're trying to get produced comes compliments from both of us, as opposed to just me. Even though, if I was WGA, it would be my credit because it's my characters, my story, my scenario, etc. But we found some ways to streamline some things, kind of bring it down a little bit, and we've got people attached still. Some people have left. Some have come on. I mean, since I talked to you, I don't even 2 years ago, geez, I couldn't even tell you who was involved at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but right now we're talking to a Hollywood film producer. He's reading the script now. We had a nice Zoom meeting with him, went very well last Monday. Craig and I were very happy. We really enjoyed talking with him. We'll see what he has to say this Monday. We spoke to somebody else in special effects that gave us a price quote, and he did a breakdown of the script for us and a budget, because you need that. All right. And the pitch deck should be redone too. We've also engaged brand integration, all right, which I already touched upon. 2 years ago, we didn't know anything about that. Do you know about brand integration, Greg? Are you familiar with this or no?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's when you incorporate products and stuff
Well,
like
it's not,
that.
but it's not product placement. There's, again,
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's a very fine line. But if you deal with this, especially this guy Rolf, his name is, he's a brand integration agent. He will explain to you very quickly. This is what product placement is. That is not what I do. This is brand integration, meaning that if they say yes to your picture and agree to things, they're going to expect to see this actor and that actress in this scene, and this is what they're supposed to be doing. And they will tell you if somebody is supposed to be in the scene, or somebody's supposed to be nude in the scene, or someone's supposed to be topless in the scene, or if it's supposed to be an after lovemaking a scene. They tell you, and you have to go back and find, a scene where it works, or figure out a way of reconfiguring something to make it work. So it's kind of like a rewrite thing that you get into, but you have to do that. And he gives an example of a picture that he did for Denzel Washington and Paul Patton. And there was a scene where the brand integration said that she had to serve this drink to him topless. And apparently, they cut the scene. They filmed it several takes, but they, for whatever the reason, who knows, they cut the scene, and they had to give all the money back. So, you don't want to get yourself in that situation. If they tell you and it's on contract and on paper, you have to do what it says.
Yeah, and I gotta wonder, I'm not just talking Paula Patton here, but I wonder how many actresses appreciate being talked into that. We hear about the casting couches and stuff like that, so I can just imagine.
Yeah, been going on for decades and decades and decades and decades, probably a
Hmm.
century. I mean, we've been making movies for over 100 years now. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
15 or something like that. I forget. My
Huh?
AD, my AD for the Black Tent always tells me all the time. He says, I think he says something like, "You got to understand something, Scott. We've been making movies for like 115 years now. So
Hmm.
to find something truly unique is going to be very difficult to do, you know." So I do have an experienced AD attached to the film, an experienced production designer now attached to the film, but we're still in that stage of development. We haven't gotten out of development. Development hell. It is hell. You get to points where there's moments that rays of sunshine in there, and you're like, yes, it's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, boop, the door closes. So yeah, it's been a real interesting 2.5 years of consistency, I should say, with the Black Tent, because we're what, May 25th, 2024. I think I revived it in November of 2021. I had Chris Waters involved for a while. We were working on design, concept designs, things like that. And that went on for about, I think I was going on last time I talked to you in that summer. We got into the fall. One of the investors pulled out. The rug was pulled out from us. Everything stopped. I brought in Steve Wallet, came along, and we tried to get it going. And we were trying all kinds of things. We were trying to find ways to lower the budget, trying to find ways we could, make this happen. But, it's just when you need some real money on this and you can't do it for like $50,000, it's tough, man. You need a pre-sale. You need to have at least one or two good actors or actresses of known recognition attached to your picture, and that's going to bolster your budget up a little bit. So before you know it, you think you've got a movie that maybe you can make it for $200,000, and then the budget comes in and your movie is costing $1.5 million.
Yeah. Do you have any name actors that are going to be attached to any of your projects, or?
We're in talks. They're not attached yet. So since they're not attached, no point in mentioning. But yeah, they're right now literally just starting talks with two. Okay.
Okay.
There's two. There's going to be a total of I went through the script and I explained there are four, possibly five roles that could go for named talent,
So you're
which
talking about Denzel Washington and Paula Patton?
I don't know, not them. They haven't come into the picture yet, but hey, who knows? You never know. I mean, we'll see what
I think
happens.
they were in, what
Oh,
was
we
it,
know,
two,
Greg.
two?
This, you could be prophetic. You could have just said something, and then in a couple of months' time, all of a sudden, I could hear that Denzel's attached. I don't know, or Paul is attached. So if it does, I will tell everybody. Greg Gilbert of Python Paradise. He predicted this. He
There
was
you
able to
go.
just take the crystal ball. That third eye.
I think they were in, what was it, Two Guns? I think they were in
That's
together.
the movie,
That
I
was,
believe. That's
yeah,
the movie I was talking. And I think that's the one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember that. Yeah. But nonetheless, let's talk about the Castle Dracula that you're
Oh,
involved with.
yeah.
You
I
know, I
mean,
know
yeah,
you got that happening. I want to hear
yeah.
about that.
Yeah, I mean I mean that was big stuff. I mean, I was a kid and growing up here in Wildwood, New Jersey, where I still am, the boardwalk, it was huge. I mean, it still is, but back in those days, we had five oceanfront amusement piers and two, street side amusement piers. And when I was on the cusp of, becoming 5 years old, Playland was sold. And the dark ride there called Marine Circus Ride was being transformed into Castle Dracula, which I sent you some pictures of. And I think if you
Mm.
have them, it'd be great if you could like throw some. I can even send you more. I got a whole collection of them.
I don't know how to insert those on here, you know.
That's a Yeah,
Huh?
I think it's a shame. I know like some of the other podcasters that I was on with, they were able to like go back and throw them in, you know.
Yeah,
It
I'm
was I
not
want to tell
very
you,
tech, I'm not very tech savvy, but otherwise I would definitely.
but they can always look it up online. They can, I mean, there's a Facebook page for Castle Dracula Wildwood they can go to. They're actually having a Castle Dracula weekend here in Wildwood in August. I think it's the weekend of August the 8th or the 9th at the museum. And they're going to close Pacific Avenue down for vendors. They've got people coming from California, people come from the Midwest coming for this. And a very talented fellow that I've been talking with for well over a year and a half now, Michael Yannette, has really spearheaded this. And, we've gotten in touch with Angelo Nichols, who was one of the originators of the castle. In fact, the originator. He was the guy that said, what, we went to his brothers and family and said, we're buying the pier. We're going to put our name on that board where we're going to make this gigantic 3-story Castle Dracula. We're going to make it look like a castle from Transylvania. We're going to put an animatronic Dracula out there to greet people. We are going to have two attractions. One, it's going to be a dungeon boat ride underneath and a haunted walkthrough on the top. And I was a kid, I was 4 going on 5. And I remember my aunt taking me up to the boardwalk because, in like February, March, April, boardwalk is dead. It's, it can be a pretty scary place. Here they're erecting this gigantic dark omnibus castle, with a moat and a big skull. And I remember watching it. I mean, the little Marine Circus ride, this small building with this clown that would like jump around, which scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. I was on the ride, and when the boat would come out, this thing would like, like dance around. That scares the hell out of you. So they took that down. They put this big, gigantic castle there. And I remember so vividly, it was getting close to Memorial Day weekend that year. And we went, it was just about done, and I was kind of excited. And there was a ramp, and I kind of ran down. There was nobody there. And the water was in the trough. And it was a gloomy day, the class ran. And there was atmosphere, man. I just remember I was only like 5. And I looked around and I was getting spooked. And as I turned around to go back up the ramp, the dungeon boats were under the moat, the drawbridge. Well, they each had a Grim Reaper on the back with these red eyes that would glow, when you were. So when I turned, this thing was like maybe 6 feet away, but it was like basically eye to eye with me. And it freaked me out, man. Like freezes you in your tracks. It's like when you think about it, you see these movies where people get so scared the monster gets them. Why? They just can't believe what's happening and they only have a moment and it's over. So they had an animatronic Dracula. He would come out and give a speech. His one arm would go up, then the other arm would go up, the neck would move back and forth. Even the jaw would move. So sometimes you would wonder, is it really an actor? Is it, and of course I had, mischievous cousins who were like, no, it's really Dracula. They would say, no, it's really him. I saw him turn into a bat and fly away into the night. That kind of stuff. But it was there for years. It was there from May of 1977 to January of 2002. And mysteriously, it burned down. All right. And the current owner of that pier has like a wave runner or something like that on there and a bar or whatever. So Angelo and Mike have a movement going to rebuild the castle, and there's a lot of interest in it. They had a meeting at City Hall. I wasn't there for that one. Probably will be at the next one. They want to put a memorial on the boardwalk for the castle. All right. Mike has already built a 20-foot booth. And I mean, he's very painstakingly gone through the pictures and talked to Angelo and talked to me and, said, again, this is what he said. Is this right? And I'm like, yeah. And I mean, the pictures, it's all there, Mike, and he has made this, I mean, really incredible, and he's going to continue. He's just going to continue with this thing. Right now, it's a 20-foot facade,
God.
but he's going to bring it out even more. And he's got more surprises. We've talked about other stuff that, they want to bring back too. He's bringing back certain pictures. He found the mold for the seal, the Dracula seal, the shield, and he's recreated that, the dragon flags, that were, very synonymous with the castle. He's recreated them. They're back. So it's like slowly but surely we're seeing Castle Dracula return. And we just found out, they came back from the meeting. They were trying to call me, and I got back to them, and they said, "You're never going to believe this." We were at the meeting at City Hall, and the mayor said somebody came to them with plans for a Castle Dracula that's going to be like 6 or 7 stories high and like 3 to 4 times the size of what it was, which of course, Angela and Nick had a patent on that castle. It's like, I don't think they can do that. He's like, because even Universal couldn't do it at the time. They wrote him a letter, I think in the 70s or 80s, whenever they were going to do it, they wrote him saying cease and desist. Castle Dracula is ours. And he said, no, it's not. You need to go check your records because we did our homework. Castle Dracula is mine. And it turned out it was his. And that's why you didn't see any other Castle Draculas. So that's what's going on there. So that's the movement going on. It's moving up very quickly. More and more people seem to be getting involved. They're going to be starting a website for shareholders to come on. They've already basically they run a few things past me on the boardwalk where they like to go, what they like to do, how they like to do it. I've put my 2 cents in, and then I hear again, and they're like, "Yeah, well, we want more of your 2 cents." So they're like, "We want you to, stay along with us on this, stay along for the ride if you would." And, I said, "Yeah, sure." I mean, I'd love to see that come back, something that's been going for 22 years too long. I mean, that the boardwalk is, it doesn't have anything iconic anymore. It needs that again, and there's people from all over. Friend of mine, very good friend of mine, out in France, she's a photographer, and I sent it to her, and she couldn't believe that it was gone. She says, don't they realize that people would travel from all over to go to? And I said, yes, a lot of people are starting to realize that now. And I think that's why they want to bring it back. I think they see the opportunity, they see the need for it. It's something that will be able to not just be a couple of seasons. If like the original made, I mean, it was just under 25 years, and I mean, you've seen the pictures. I mean,
Yeah.
what did you think, Greg?
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Yeah, I mean the dungeon boat ride. I mean, they played that Bach Toccata and De Fugit. That's there. I don't know if you've heard it. If you've ever seen Rollerball with James Caan, it's the theme music that plays. They used the same one. They took that. It blasted from the moment the castle opened till it closed at like 2 a.m. You couldn't go to the movies at the Blaker Theater without hearing that. Da-na-na, da-na-na.
Yeah.
And you would see lines of people. I mean, between the two of them, the walkthrough and the dungeon, the lines would sort of meet and splinter off. And, I remember the first year, my mom and my aunt, they took the maiden voyage. My cousins and I were like, no, we're not going to, we were a little young, a little scared. And the line, it was just amazing. It was like a movie line. It just went all the way down past an ice cream place. And, and every time it shrunk, you would blink and look back, and it looked like it didn't. Just people moved, but other people took their place. People would go through, they'd get back in line to go back again, and to hold the people off, they would have these actors in the black cloaks with their face painted, and they would give, some kind of a speech about what the castle was and what you'll experience, and when you went in the boat, you would see execution scenes, dark scenes. Then actors would jump on the back of the boat and scare you. Some people would actually jump off the boat, and land in the stream, from what I'm told. And there was a couple parts in that where I think that water was a little deep. I think it was like 2-3 feet. So, I mean, if you were jumping off that, you weren't just going to, get a little foothold in there. You were going to get waist deep in that. So, and then the walkthrough, that would take about 15 minutes to go through, because you'd go in, they would put you in a room, slam the door, there'd be a portrait, and you would hear this kind of like Disney, like how they do in the Haunted Mansion, like the speech, the lights would go out, and then an actor as Dracula would jump out of the frame, and he would jump out on the mantle and give a speech, and then you'd go through. Frankenstein would chase you. Maybe you didn't. One year you encountered him. I think one year they even had the Pinhead and the Hellraiser gang in there, as it went on. I think Freddy Krueger was in there at one point. I think Michael Myers showed up every few years, and they're chasing people around. It was like they would go with different themes to kind of change it up a little bit, to keep things fresh, and then as certain years would pass by, actors would change too. because I think at one point they had something like 20 actors or something like that. And then, of course, it dwindled down to like 3 actors or whatever, in the 90s, it just sort of kind of was petering out. Then, 2002, January just magically on fire, and Angela was like, I had nothing to do with that. I had every intention, I knew it would come back. Everything goes in cycles. I knew it would come back. We were just on a down period. So you ride it out, you take the good with the bad, and you just wait to come back. He's like, but they screwed it up, and now it's starting all over again. Basically from scratch. The only difference of it is now you have proof because you had almost a quarter of a century of history on that boardwalk, where people that went through it write in all the time. I wish I could take my kids through it. I wish I could take my grandkids through it. I tell them, I show them the pictures. They wish it was there. So I think there's a demand for it. And we're all in agreement to that. And from my understanding, according to the meeting with the mayor and all, they, yeah, I mean, it's definitely there. And I've already, I know who the mayor is, and I reached out, and he said, yeah, no, I think it needs to return. It needs to come back. So now it's just a matter of finding the right place and being able to raise the funds and do it, just like you do anything else, just like you make a movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, many complications and hoops to jump through. You mentioned New Jersey. I just did my first convention in the US. I was at New Jersey Chiller, in Persephone. And
Yeah.
yeah. Um and did you go to that? I don't think I don't know.
I
I
didn't
think
go to
I
this year. I didn't go to this year. No,
Yeah, I
I've
think
been
I
to.
might have been in correspondence with you about that because I've seen if any of the people I knew that was what I thought was in the area. Of course, I've never been there before, so I didn't have any frame of reference, but I wanted to see who was all going to be there and whatnot. So but yeah, Chiller's been going a long time. I did it. I went down there to assist Lisa Langlois, and I think I met like 22 of the guests, which I always overspend at these. I wish I had more willpower, but I still had some great memories. So my only big problem is like when I get off the plane to Toronto, I just have to get on a subway or a shuttle bus and go to where I want to go. Get off the plane there, and well, it's not just New Jersey. If it's anywhere it's not your own country, you gotta wait through immigration. I was there for like over an hour, and I was like, oh my goodness. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then the cab to the Hilton from Newark was came to $82, and that was fun. Like I don't know how far it is, so I was like, yeah. So I gotta let my bank account heal. So I'm planning to possibly do Frightmare in the Falls this fall, and Niagara Falls will be my fourth time doing that, but it's not written in stone yet. So for me, so I don't know. But do you get to do the conventions often?
Sometimes I used to go. I try to go to the New Jersey Horror Con when they have it. I didn't get there this year, but I've been there in the past because they had it. They moved it. It's in Edison, New Jersey, which is a bit of a hike. Plus this time right now, like where they had it, I couldn't break away for a day to go to it. So it gets to a point. I'm a lot busier than I was 2 years ago when you interviewed me. So sometimes work gets in the way, projects get in the way. And as much as I would love to go there, I can't get there. You know what I mean? So timing's everything. We're all bound by time. So, you
Talk
know.
about some notable guests that you've met there. Any
Oh,
stand
okay.
out?
Sure. Bai Ling, Bai Ling. I remember meeting her. She was
You
really,
know what? I met her this year at Chiller. I'm gonna tell you, she was not on my list to meet. Two
Mhm.
things happened. Um, when I met Tara Buckman, from Silent Night, Deadly Night, who was on my show last fall. Tara was so happy I made it out to Chiller. You know, she gave me a big hug, and she get asked Bai Ling to, or is it Bai Ling?
A Byling, yeah, she goes by Byling.
Byling.
Yeah,
Okay. I yes, BAI. So
I
I'm
know. I used to call her
yeah.
Bailing as well. Yeah,
Okay, Byling. Um, yeah, I don't want to disrespect her,
no.
but she took the picture of myself and Tara. What was interesting is like she was dressed to the nines,
Oh, I know.
Byling was.
Always.
She
Yeah,
went in
always.
like a red bubble jacket, and when she took that off, she was just wasn't quite anime, but she was wearing something that was very bright and colorful, and her hair was done and makeup was done, just total class. So I was running low on cash, and I wish more of these people would have credit card tap because it would certainly make it easier because I don't like carrying cash on me. So she happened to have credit card cash. So I was like, good, I'm going to get an autographed picture. And I had to get my picture taken with her because she just the colors, it just
Yeah, I know.
coming right off her outfit. And plus, you know, she was one of these ones, you put your arm around her, she puts her arm around you, and there'll be a few photos snapped, and she'd throw her arm around you and hug
Oh,
you
yeah.
close, you know. And she did that with everybody. She was
Yes. Yeah, she does.
I was very happy to meet her, and I think I've got to get her on the show here at some point. I gave her my card, but I'm glad I got to meet her. She wasn't a planned guest for me to meet, but boy, I'm sure glad I got to. So,
Yeah, I met her because I went to it was kind of set up. My meeting with her was set up. So I kind of had to go to that. That was a couple of years ago now. And the fellow Chris I told you about had set it up. We were talking to her about the black tent. And she did look at everything, but yeah, not gonna happen there. So um, I wrote the one role that she was that she was being eyed for. I did have somebody in mind, and I'm very open about who it was. It was Anna Folke. All right, I don't know if you're familiar with her.
who
If
is
you ever
it?
Anna Folke, Falchi. All right, I had seen her. I collected Fangoria magazine. All right, I was a
Hmm.
Fangoria fan through the '80s and the '90s, and I still have all my back issues. And there was a movie coming out called Della Morte Della Mar, Italian horror movie, zombie movie called Cemetery Man, which, in the '90s, you weren't seeing them like you have been the past 15 years. I mean, a zombie movie every moment nowadays. So I had heard a lot of good things about it, and a couple of people that I'd known that had gone to film. I didn't know how to even go to them back then. Said, "Man, this movie's great." Oh man, the chick's hot. They were telling me all this. I'm like, well, yeah, I was interested in seeing the movie regardless. So I owned a video store. I got a screener. The screener was Cemetery Man, dubbed in English. I put it in, and the movie is visually stunning. I think visually it's really like Tim Burtonish to a degree, very quirky, very Italian, very foreign, especially back at the time. And the thing that I liked, though, and I understood, like, what they were, my guy friends were saying, she's hot, she is. And the thing I liked was she was, until she became a zombie. When she became a zombie, she was something you did not want to go near. She was completely lethal, ugly, something that you would not even want within 3 miles of. And I thought that was interesting at the time, And I mean, again, Telemore, it's like we're talking, Greg, 30 years ago. So I mean, because she's our age, she's 52, she's up there with me now, and you're going to catch up to us.
I
So
guarantee you she looks better than me.
better than both of us. So when I was writing this, when I was going to do this movie, and I knew how I was going to do this, and I locked the story down 6 years ago now. I thought of her, and I looked at her now. Well, then, I should say, being older, I thought, you know what? She would be even better now than then, because now she's older. She's already got, kind of, with her makeup and all this, kind of dark, like, omnibus to her, but still sexy, still hot, for 52. And it could work because I think the biggest problem with her is I know she doesn't speak English. It's
Wow.
broken. It's very broken. I've looked for some interviews. I have contacted her. I did contact her a couple of years ago about it. She saw it. She saw my message, but she didn't reply. But I think the biggest issue there would be two things. Sales value. I'm forever hearing about sales value. I'm always hearing about that. It's like, yes, Scott, but her sales value. You need an actress with sales value. Okay. So when you're looking at a budget of $1.5 to $2 million, you need to secure the investment. And if you want her, fine, but then somebody else has to go out of a role that you can fill, and it has to be a main role to increase the sales value. That's how you get distribution. You can't just, you do it with backyard people. You might get it, but it's what they call lottery tickets, like that movie. I didn't see it yet. Skinamarink. Have you seen that? Skinamarink?
I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen it, but I'm very familiar with what you're talking about.
Yeah, see, they made it for like 4 grand, and I think whoever it was picked it up for 15,000, and then they made like $2 million off it. But they're called lottery tickets. In other words, you can't make a movie and expect it. It's a
Yeah.
lottery ticket. It doesn't really always happen. So, long story short, sorry about that for
No,
getting.
no, but you go for it.
But so when I was writing, I was saying Anna Falke. I was staying, she has a lot of videos on Instagram and all. So I was watching, I was kind of looking at her, thinking, okay, I'm thinking for this scene, magic scenes here, then we go lethal here, then we have kills there, we have gore, we have extreme gore, we have more gore, bloody her up a lot, maybe have some intestines hanging out of her mouth, that kind of thing, So it was a lot of visuals in my head, writing the script, that first draft. First draft's first draft, it's not going to be what you shouldn't be. You should, as a writer, I think truthfully, you should always be wanting to improve even what you've got, and of course, as a filmmaker, I can tell you, looking at Lost in the Night, looking at Lycaon, looking at Five Losers, I like them, but yeah, I think I can do better. I think if I could go back and do it, yes, I could make all three of them better films. So I think
Well, you
that's
you constantly improve, and
yeah.
yeah. So it's always a learning process. Going back to conventions, you mentioned Bai Ling. Anybody else that stand out to you that you met?
Yeah, I'm just gotta give me a minute to think. Maybe pictures would help, so just bear with me. I'm getting to that point, Greg. I'm getting older.
There you go.
Sometimes,
There you go. No,
sometimes
you mentioned New Jersey, and I was like, yeah, I was just there. That was my first trip to the U.S. So
I really wanted to go to the last one in Edison because Adam Marcus was there, and I've been talking to Adam for like 6 or 7 years, and I mean we've done I think some videos together and all, and I really want to meet him back because I really like the guy, and
I love Secret Santa. I
I love
I've
Jason Goes to Hell.
I've had him on the show a couple times. I'm involved with Hearts of Darkness, the
Good.
making of the Final Friday. I love his wife. I call her the Cackle Queen,
Mhm.
Deborah Sullivan. Love
Yes.
her. Yeah. And
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I helped out. There was a French movie that came here a couple of after we had our interview. The line producer showed up at a place where I was at, and she was. They were looking for some pointers and help and all that. So I helped where I could, and they actually ended up shooting part of the movie. I think it's called Silver Star. I don't know that it got completed though. It just seems like it hasn't come out yet. But it's a foreign film. It's a French film production, and I met the directors. They were really nice people. Um, you know, uh, you know, uh, but there's
nope,
by
I love Secret Santa. Adam Marcus did that one, and I must have interviewed 7 or 8 people from that movie. So he's quite happy that I like Jason Goes to Hell. The only person I've had from it is Adam Marcus, and I've just had a hell of a time getting people from that, and to the point where I threw my hands up. I was like, okay, I, I got Adam Marcus. So I guess that's all I need. But Secret Santa, I've gotten quite a few people, and Adam loves my enthusiasm for the movie. So
it was his
yeah,
baby all the
yeah,
way. This is his baby
yeah.
all the way. What you know what I do want to take this time to ask you about my friend who's gone now. Anthony Hickox. What did you think of
Okay.
his? He passed away a few months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 60, I believe he was 64. He was a good friend of mine, very much a mentor to me. And I think I don't know if I told you the story of that, but uh I had gone Fangoria and they were promoting Waxwork too. And I hadn't seen Waxwork because every time I used to go to the video store to rent, it was always out. So I figured, all
Mhm.
right, let me get back, watch Waxwork, rent it Waxwork. Remember that day so well. It was in 1991, September, and maybe October. I'm sorry. And I watched the movie and I saw a lot of potential. There was things I loved, some things I didn't like. I thought was too over the top. The vampire scene was a little too much in my opinion. And I really didn't. I'll be honest with you, I did not understand the Marquis de Sade scene until he explained it to me. I had no clue who the hell that was at the time. I had no idea who that was. I was totally lost with that. And then I was reading about Sundown, and I looked through my back issues, and I had it, and it it got held up in the bankruptcy of Vestron Pictures, and finally got to see it. It came out. I liked it a lot, and loved Waxwork too. Loved Waxwork. Loved the movie, and then he was doing Hellraiser 3, which that's a funny series. The first Hellraiser was kind of with me. The second one was much better, a lot more intense, excessively gory, excessively. And then so I was interested in the third one because it'd been so long, and I went to the movies to see it. And I just come back from the movies, and I just picked up the new Fangoria, and I'm just like went into the teletype, and it's like Anthony Hickox is directing Waxwork to the Armageddon. And I was following that, and it kept getting delayed. And I was in college at the time, and I was taking a creative writing class, and the teacher was really cool, Helen McCaffrey, really, really awesome woman, and very supportive of me. And she had this. We were going to learn to write dialogue, so she says, "Giving these." So she's going, through the room. Melissa, who do you want to interview? My mother. Who do you want to? My uncle. They get to me, Scott Hand, and they're like, Scott, who do you want to interview? Anthony Hickox. The whole class in unison. It's like, who? Everybody's turning around. Even Helen is like, who? And I'm pulling out the latest issue of Fangoria, with Julian Sands on the cover with all the black on him and all. And I'm like, the director of this movie, that's who I want to interview. And everybody's got this look like, how the hell are you going to do that? And Helen is like, well, that would be wonderful, Scott, but do you know him? And I was like, no, I don't. She said, well, how are you going to? I said, yeah, I know. This was 1993, April to be precise. So a friend of mine, Fred Aldrich, also long gone, a much older friend of mine, like a father kind of guy, said, why don't you just call? Do you know where he is? He's in California. And I said, so I'm looking at one of them. I forget which one it says is Beverly Hills home. And I say he's in Beverly Hills. He said, why don't you just call 213-555-1212? See if you can get a number. And maybe you can, this is 1993. You could do that back then. It was, so I called information. I told them, the operator gives me the number. Okay. I call a woman with a very thick British accent. Hello. And I said, yes. I told her who I am, what I'm doing, a paper for college. I'm a big fan of Anthony Hickox. And after I'm done my spiel, I get this. Oh, that's so lovely and nice to hear, but he doesn't live here anymore. Here it comes, Greg. I'm his mother. Well, I have, but when she says this, I have the one Fangoria, and it says it's right there. His mother is Anne V. Coates, the Academy Award winning film editor of Lawrence of Arabia. And she's saying, I'm his mother. Right. And I'm like, you're Anne V. Coates? And she corrects me. She goes, Coates. And I said, oh, I apologize. She said, oh, no, that's, well, I said, look, could you spare some time? I'd like to talk to you about some things. So she was taking me all down her career. I mean, it was like an hour
Oh,
and a half.
wow.
And at the time, now thinking, I'm a big movie buff at the time. I'm looking forward to the summer movies. She says to me, and I just finished editing Clint's new movie, as in Clint Eastwood, and I'm like, in the Line of Fire? And she's like, yes, you know it. I go, yeah, I can't wait for July 9th. I wish I could get tickets now. And she says, oh, it's a great movie. And I worked with Wolfgang Peterson was the director. And she was telling me a little bit. She didn't want to go too far because I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it. You got to see the movie at home. You can spoil all you want. I'm going anyway. So she says, I'm going to give you his private number, and I'm going to call him and tell him to make sure he talks to you. So I hung up the phone, and she gives me his number. I call. I get this answering machine, very kind of like a mortuary thing, I can't come to the phone right now, but please leave a message, So I leave this message, and I don't remember the time, 10, 11 o'clock at night. It's California time they're on. And I did say, I'll be working on my paper all night. It doesn't matter what time, just call. Don't worry. I will have the phone. I will answer. So I have the phone in my hand, your cordless phone, and I'm on the couch and it's 12:30. It's 1 o'clock. And I'm fighting sleep, and I'm literally doing my best to clutch that phone. Well, I fall asleep. Well, the phone's ringing at around 2:30. All right. And you know how you're coming out of sleep, you're like half there, half not. And I'm trying as hard as I can to get fingers going in my mind. And I'm trying to click the talk button. And I'm like, hello, 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 click. And I'm like, I wake up immediately. It's like throwing cold water and ice on you. And I jump up and I'm like, oh my God, I know it was him. I know it was him. He called. What do? I call him back, wait 5 minutes, call him. Looking at the clock, wait 5 minutes, call him back. No, wait 5 minutes if it was him, and then call back. Give him 5 minutes in case all of a sudden phone's ringing. Pick it up. Hello, hello. Yes, is Scott there? And I'm yes, right away. Mr. Hickox. Hey. He's like yes, and I'm like, oh, it's me. I'm like, God, I love your movies. I just got my screener for Hellraiser. I'm geeking out all over the place, man. I'm like really freaking out. I mean, it's him. I'm really going crazy here. And we had such a great, I said, can I put the bug on the phone? Can I tape the conversation? I know he said, yeah, go ahead. So I got the little tape still with us talking and him laughing. And he says to me, it was so cool at the time. He's like, I want to let you in on it first. I just signed the contract today to make my next movie, and it's going to be for HBO. It's called The Pack. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like writing that. What can you tell me? It's a pack of wolves. It's a werewolf movie about a pack of wolves. It's for HBO. And he's telling me it did. Mario Van Peebles said that it got retitled Full Eclipse. So if anybody's watching this and wanted to see the movie, it's not called The Pack. It wasn't. They changed it. It's Full Eclipse. And it came on HBO. I saw it. I went to the movie, saw War the Armageddon. We stayed in touch for quite a while. I mean, he told me when he left horror, he's like, I'm doing this movie Payback. It's not horror. Last minute thing. The director, it didn't work out. They brought me on because I worked with the producers before. He's like, so, then C. Thomas Howell, Joan Severance. Then he got another movie for a company I'd never heard of before called Invasion of Privacy with Naomi Campbell, and I forget the guy's name. He was in that movie, that thing you do with the Tom Hanks thing. He was the lead guy. And then
Okay.
what was supposed to be his biggest movie, Prince Valiant.
Tom Everett Scott.
No, it might have been. Maybe it was.
Okay.
No, I don't think it's Sam. Jonathan something. Jonathan Skell or something like that. No,
Okay.
yeah,
I don't
if
know.
you look up Invasion and Privacy on IMDb, 1996,
Hmm.
Hickox directed, you'll see his name. I think it's Jonathan something. But anyway, so we was going to do Prince Valiant, and of course, we lost touch for a while. All right, and he had already done the two Dolph Lundgren films, Stormcatcher and Jill the Ripper, I think it's called. And I think at the time I got back with him, he had just done The Contaminated Man with William Hurt. All right,
Okay.
because he was talking to me about that, and the Prince Valiant experience was really bad. It was a almost career crusher. All right, it didn't go well. Um, he confided a lot of things, and I felt really bad for him. It was a lot of like he gave me a lot of warnings in the industry, things of do's and don'ts, not getting carried away with certain things, and and when you work on when you work on movies and you have a group of people, look, not everybody loves you, all right, especially when you're the director, and you might have enemies too, and you might not know it, all right, and if they're calling the production house and I don't know who they were. He didn't say, I didn't ask, you know. It was a bad experience, and he was very thankful that he was able to get the other pictures. And then we lost track again. This was after the contaminated phone number changed, and I caught up with him on Instagram, and he and Kevin Tenney were trying to do a Kickstarter for Night of the Demons After Party, and that was probably about 10 years already now. It was going to be his
Okay.
return to like a full-blown horror movie, gore. They had a script. They had there's a video. I think Kevin posted it. You can probably find it on Facebook. Um, but the Kickstarter didn't get them to where they needed to be. And the company that was in back of it was a sequel they did a remake of it. And I know the remake performed poorly. And, it always perplexed me why when a movie doesn't do well that they're going to do a sequel, but whatever, these things happen, I suppose. But it didn't happen. And, Anth and I were keeping in touch on Instagram. And then he was kind of fading off a bit. And then the last I'd heard from him was about maybe 3.5 to 4 years ago, and he was, saying like, "Get off Instagram, it's poison." And it was, I knew something was up, and I don't know if his marriage had crumbled, where life had, his mother passed away in 2018, and I've been doing my best to look into it because he died in Romania. So he didn't, he didn't die here. So 64, it sounds like it was somewhat sudden, but I don't know the circumstance. So it just so happened I was, Jim DeMuse was my mentor, and we had just come up with like an idea for Lycaon. He passed away, and then so I dedicated Lycaon at the very end, at the tail of the movie. It's dedicated in loving memory of Jim DeMuse. And I was getting ready to do the Five Losers when I got the news, and I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to dedicate this one to Hickox." Which, so at the end of the movie, at the tail, there's the dedication to him as well. And really, it's kind of, for me, heartbreaking and depressing because, as a friend and a fan and a fan friend and a friend fan, I really kind of was hoping that, we always talked about one day we would work together on something, and I didn't care. Like, if it was going to be with him, I wouldn't care if I, gave him the director's chair and I just took like a associate or executive producer, just hung out with him on the set, so how he did things and learned some things. I mean, he shared a lot of things with me. He told me a lot of things, like, his style with having the one face close and then the other face like small in the back. That was one of his styles, and I kind of always liked that. And for the Black 10 especially, I really would want to do that, and especially now I would want to do it. But yeah, it's kind of tough, when you get that kind of news,
Well, you know what? It was wonderful having you come on here today. Your fellow actors haven't chimed in here. I know
Kevin
uh,
has no consensus for time, so he probably thinks this is probably an all day, all night interview. So,
oh,
I mean, sometimes on set we used to, the running joke would be, "What time do you think he's going to be here?"
that's all right. I'm not offended. You're on here, and it's been great. So, but I originally, I guess Kevin and Lisa, Chelly were supposed to be on here, and
Yeah.
yeah, so that's okay. But you told some great stories and kept me glued to this, um, and I know you got something you got to go to. There somebody's what a bunch of people having a party in your honor.
Well, it's not so much in my honor. It's an honor of something. It's got a lot to do with the castle, as we spoke about.
Yeah, but
They're
let's
going to
say
be
it's in
there.
your honor and make you feel important.
Okay. All right. It'll be in my, after all, I did get a thank you bag anyway. So I guess that counts for something, right? I got a thank you bag with some gifts in it, a thank you, you're awesome, Yeti. And they gave me Advil as well. I guess, they think I must have headaches all the time, or maybe I give headaches. I don't
Well,
know.
you know what? I carry Advil with me everywhere. So look, here,
Yeah, yeah, it's probably, maybe that's it too. Maybe it's part of the aging process. I don't know.
well, I remember the first time I had a migraine, and I didn't know what it was, but I remember it clearly. And my doctor said, "Yeah, have take Advil." So yeah, that's what I
Oh, it
carry with me.
works. It
I've only
works.
had a migraine a couple of times, but I'll never forget it. But but nonetheless, it was wonderful having you come on here and share these stories. You want to plug those things one last time here before we let you go?
Sure. Well, the Castle Dracula, the movement to get the castle going, that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can check that out on Facebook, Castle Dracula, Wildwood, New Jersey. Like I said, let's not forget the Castle Dracula weekend. I believe it's August 8th or 9th. It'll be in town at the Wildwood Museum, Pacific Avenue. They're going to close the street down. They're going to have vendors. The 20-foot tall replica we spoke about will be there. I will be there. Angelo Nichols will be there. Michael Yannet will be there. It's open to the general public. The museum doesn't hold quite a lot of people, but we'll be out on the street. We can be festive. I think they do a little cosplay sometimes. People show up dressed as Dracula or vampires with capes. I mean, it's probably going to be really hot, but hey, people with passion don't care. You
There
know,
you go.
And again, I always say keep an eye out for my feature film, Lycaon. Um,
Yep.
Lost in the Night. Did you see it yet? I sent it to you. Did you watch it yet,
You
Greg?
know what? I have not. I'll watch it. You know what? I get people send me stuff. I have just been so busy because I work overnights and I clean a couple buildings and I've been, healing from well, like it's healing well, but I've had the cataract operation and earlier this year had the root canal. It's like everything's coming at me at once. But I'll definitely look at it. So
Hope you enjoy it.
yeah, so my apologies on that. It's not personal. I will get to it. Somebody had sent me a screenplay that they're doing and I haven't even got touched on that. And I think he sent me that like a month and a half ago and so I'll get at it. It's just a matter of, there's only so many hours in the day and I'm working a lot because like I said, it's getting harder and harder out there. I'm
Yeah, sure.
hoping that we get a new prime minister. That's all I'm gonna say.
I hope so too. I'll pray for that too for you.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping Pierre Poilievre is the man he says he's going to be. I have met him, and so far his policies sound great. So, but there needs to be a change because right now, everything's just going screwy here right now. So, yeah,
I think it's
and
ever
I'm hearing that in the States too. So,
bad, really bad out
yeah,
there.
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
the world I grew up in, that's for sure.
No, it's not the world anybody's grew up in. So, but nonetheless, before I let you go, I'd love for you to do a plug for my show.
Oh, of course, absolutely. Send me the
Just,
link when it's ready. I'll put it up there.
yep,
Yeah.
just state your name and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
I am Scott Hand, independent filmmaker, and I am here talking with Greg Gilbert, Python's Paradise.
Absolutely, folks. He's got
Number two for me on the show.
yes, yes. Number two with a couple of very late actors. They'll come on here like, "Where's the party? Where's the party?" You're going to
Yeah,
the
at about
party.
4 o'clock my time, probably around 4 o'clock. I'll start getting text messages. We're ready. You know, uh,
Why are
like I
they
said,
not? Are they not East Coast?
they are. They're right here. It's yeah, like I said, Kevin loses track of time. The running joke on both sets, like and Five Losers, after a few times was, "What time do you think he's going to show up?" The call time is, we'll just say 9. I'd look at the
What's
call sheet and say 10:30.
what's Lisa's story?
Plus his wife.
Yeah.
That's normally she keeps him in check, but it's Memorial Day weekend here in the States. So I don't know
Mhm.
if, yeah, they could have. I mean, I don't know if they could have gone to a luncheon. Maybe it ran late. I don't know.
I bet they're waiting to go to that party you're gonna be honored at.
Could have been. Yeah, sure, probably.
I'm just telling I'll go hang with that. It's gonna be
Go
your
for it.
party.
Maybe, hey, maybe it is. It's in their honor, you
There
know?
you go. There you go. Well, Scott, it was wonderful having you come on here today. And like I said, keep me in the loop and
I always do.
I'll have you on again as this is keeps
Don't
progressing.
forget. Don't forget it. What's it? Every Monday night, I co-host with Scott Icon on Attitude Era Monday, Live Monday. We have 3 guests every Monday night.
I've had Scott on here.
Yes, I know.
I had him on once on here. I've had Granny Hulkster's been on here a couple
She's
times.
not with us anymore. I replaced her. Yeah,
Oh,
she and now I don't know what's going on. I was not privy to that. I was interviewed. He picked me up. He saw the interview that you and I did, and then he
mhm.
picked me up for 3 interviews. He scheduled me for 3. And at the end of the third interview, he said, "Would you come back, as much as possible?" And I said, "Yeah, I can't guarantee every week with my schedule, but I could do, there's glumps where I could probably do every week for, certain amounts." So she left the show and he said, "Can you take it for as long as you can?" So yeah, I'll take it, you know. So anyway, there's Kevin Shelley. He wants to come on now. So I mean, it's up to you. I have to go shortly. I can give you a few minutes, but he's
Oh,
ready if you
oh,
want him.
you know what? We could have him come on here. Absolutely. Is Lisa there too?
Mm-hmm. I'll tell him right now. Hold on, log on.
Sure, I'll let them come on. It'll be like a joint. Yeah.
Yeah, you can continue with them. Like I said, I'll have to leave in about 10 minutes, but I
Yeah,
can maybe take another 10.
I was gonna say too, I've had Eric Matthias on here 3 times. I like Eric.
Another good guy. Yeah, he's a good guy, Tim Matthias. Cool.
I've had
He's
him
a
on here
horror
three
lover,
times.
man. He's like me. Yeah, I get along with him. Yeah, really nice guy. And even I don't know, did you ever talk to the Big Swing, Chris McSwigan yet? Have you dealt with the Big
No,
Swing?
who's that?
Oh, come on, man. We got him. He's our other co-host, the Big Swing. Yeah, Chris McSwigan. You're not on. I have to send you him
I
on Facebook.
don't know him.
He's a cool guy too. Yeah, really nice guys. It's such a great show. It's like I'm always sorry, like if I can't make it but none of us can. Like sometimes Matthias can't make it. Chris, sometimes the Big Swing, I guess I should just say, can't make it. So it's like sometimes it's just Icon and I, and I'm Scott and he's Icon, because we had was it Lisa? I forget. We've had so many. They say Scott. He's like, no, I'm Icon. He's like the filmmaker. That's Scott. He's like, so if you say Scott, you're talking to him. So it's been great. It's been really fun. I'm trying to remember. I think it's been 8 months now. I've been doing it steadily. I mean, I missed some shows here and there, illness.
Yeah.
They had problems with Blog Talk a few times. I was ready, and Matthias ready, and then Blog Talk we couldn't get on. So it just had to be him and the people. And the running joke is, no, you just wanted to talk to her yourself. It's like a running joke we got. We're like, nah, you just wanted her to yourself, or you just wanted him to yourself tonight, And he's like, oh man, you figured me out. But he's a great guy. Got a lot of great ideas. Very much behind everything I'm doing. I mean, big time behind me. I've given him a small part in the Black Tent. He begged and begged and begged and pleaded. And it was so funny listening to him on the show, but I was going to give it to him anyway. It was just show within a show. You know what I
There
mean?
you go. There you
Show
go.
within a show. Well, I told him to log on. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on with these guys. I don't know what to tell you. He says we still good for 3 p.m. Typical
3 p.m.
Kevin.
There you
Typical.
go.
I said, so I'm just going to let him know. I'm just going to say, hurry up.
Yeah, if he wants to come on here, I'll have him, I've never done an interview where somebody comes on right after, but you know what? I'm game for it if he wants to come
Why not? I
on.
mean, hey, something different, right? It's something different.
Yep.
You know.
Nope, I'm
So
game for
I'll
it.
give you 3 more minutes, 4 more minutes, and if they don't log on, we'll go from there. But let's talk about Attitude Hour Monday. It's a fun show. I've been enjoying it. I met some really nice people on the show that I've connected with in the industry because he's branching out into the entertainment industry. We've had a lot of great people like Lisa London on there, Paul Sammelhoff, a great guy.
I've had both of them.
Did you have Paul? Did you have Paul?
Yeah,
what a great
over
guy. He's awesome.
5 hours.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? It still wasn't enough. I'm sure it wasn't. Oh, look at the cute
This
little kid.
is Skittles.
Well, Precious is under the bed. I kind of scooted her during our interview.
Skittles? Are you under the bed, Skittles?
Is he boy?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's a girl.
Skittles, my buddy. He's my buddy.
They're the best.
Yes, he's my buddy. I love my kitty. He's like, you're exploiting me. You're using me for hits.
Oh, they love it. Are you kidding? My cat wanted to come on earlier. Like she was crying. She wants to be the star of the show. I ask her all the time, you want to be the star of the next movie? And she gives me this look like, yes, you know it.
You will be the star, Skittles? You will be the star?
Sure he does. We can have the Skittles and Precious show.
Skittles is precious.
Yeah.
No, but I was gonna say I've had Lisa London on here a couple times.
Okay.
And Paul M. Salmon. It's funny when I had him on.
How do you pronounce salmon? I thought it was Sammelhoff. It's like Salmahoff.
Yeah, he wrote that Future Noir book on Blade Runner, and he was also on set for Conan the Barbarian. So he warned me he was a talker, and I'm like, that's fine. Makes my job easier. If you're talking more than me, it's people I hear the guests. He was on there for I think it was 5 hours and 20 minutes or 5 hours and a half or something like that. And I always have people they'll say, well, why don't you cut that down, do it in installment? I'm like, I'm not dealing with everybody's attention span today, Um, I can go back to a video that's long and continue off where I left off. I listen to a lot of stuff while I'm cleaning, in the buildings I do. And so that's why I say to people, I don't do installments. It's if the interview's over 5 hours like his was, well, then you know what? It's over 5 hours. I'm happy with that. He gave a lot of information,
He's
and
full of it, man. He's full of information, good information. When I say full of it, I mean full of good
yep,
information. Yeah,
yep. And
it's good guy.
I've had a couple people on from Blade Runner. I've had Sven Ole Thorsen on from Conan the Barbarian. So I mean, I've
What about Michael Dinitz? Have you had Michael Dinitz on yet?
no, who's that?
He's a special effects guy. He's got a lot of information for independent films. He's been helping me for a while.
Hmm.
Really good guy. Full of information. You'll probably get a very long interview with him. Very meaty.
Is he helping you get Kevin on time?
No, no, he doesn't even know Kevin. He doesn't even know Kevin. No, he's out in Hollywood. So no,
Yeah.
no. So
Well,
yeah,
he hasn't logged on here yet, so
nah,
I think it's a no-go with him.
yeah. It's a no-go with these guys, I would say. They're not ready. But I told them
But
log on now, hurry up.
but
So
you know what? I'm okay with that. You know what? God bless them. I don't hold it against them. I had a great time chatting with you.
same here.
Yeah.
And don't look out for Lycaon when we get distribution.
Hmm.
Hopefully, I'll have the black tent, in production next year. Hopefully, I hope on that, and then I got a couple other ones that might pop up. So you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
There you go. There you go. And then you got to do one on the Castle Dracula called Eric Matthias versus Dracula.
They've already done a couple of documentaries for that one, but yeah, that would be a fun one.
I love
With
Eric. Eric
guys.
is awesome. Anyway, Scott, you have yourself a great day. Enjoy Memorial Day weekend, and
Thank you.
God bless you. You tell
God
Kevin and
bless.
Lisa if they want to come on, tell them to reach out to me, and I'll book them sometime. But they got to be on time.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
because
yeah.
with me, you never know what I'm going to be doing during the day, so I don't mind making the time. So, but yeah.
All
So
right, my
anyway.
friend. It was wonderful. All right, hopefully we'll do it again one day.
Oh, I'll have you back. Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Take care and God bless.
God
And
bless, Greg.
don't be late for that surprise party because you get two
No,
actors that are already late.
I know. Well, they're not going to it.
Well, at least more stuff for you.
That's right. Absolutely.
There you go.
That's looking
All
at
right.
it on the bright side.
There you go. Take it easy, man.
You too, Greg.
Yeah.
God bless.
Bye-bye.